Be sure to subscribe for more content.
What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the BigBC Finance Channel, and I hope you're having a very lovely day. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Crow, what has happened to it recently, and where we think the price is going to go to in the near future, with some key price levels and some trades I'm looking to make. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. And of course, if you appreciate the daily analysis on this channel and you're one of the 88% of people that watch my videos and not yet subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. So without further ado, let's talk about Crow. So without further ado, let's get the annotations back on the screen for Crow, and basically let's just zoom out a little bit here on Crow. It does look like quite a bit is happening on the shorter time frame, but if we zoom out into the bigger picture, you can start to see things for what they really are here on Crow. Things are very tame still compared to how they were right after the FTX fallout. Of course, we're really just consolidating at the moment between a very narrow range here, around 6 to 7 cents, 10-11% on either side. So not too much is happening, but I do think all this calmness is going to lead to something big in the near future. I do think this is like a calm before the storm, and the storm referring to a potentially big price move here on Crow, either in the upwards or downwards direction. And I think that because on the shorter time frame, so this, I think we are seeing something that looks like this. So we have this trend line down here. In fact, let me just get rid of some of these lines here just to not overcomplicate things. Basically, we have this support line down here. It's held the price up now on Crow quite a few times. As you can see, if we actually draw that perfectly in this area, it's held up the price 4 times around this region here, just this region alone. We've had a test of this support line here, and we've had a test now in this region most recently. And so basically we have a very reliable support, been tested at least 6 times here on Crow, and we've bounced up every single time. And what I do believe we also could be seeing is a resistance that looks like this. So again, just joining the tops of the Crow price from where the price really gets up to before bouncing back down. And you can see again so many tests in this region here. So it's like there's a wall here. There's at least 4 times where the candles come up to touch this purple line here and get rejected. Again here, again in these regions here, and most recently just a day ago. And so we've got an even more reliable resistance that's been tested at least 8 times here on Crow. We've got a very big support line down here, which has been tested multiple times. And what we have is a situation where the price, if it respects both these trend lines, is going to run out of space in the near future. The price has to make its mind up, within this region, whether it's going to respect this resistance, this upper trend line here, and break down below the support, or if it's going to respect our support down here and break through this resistance to the upside. And of course, what we expect to see is a large price move when this happens. There's no telling when it will happen. It could happen, within the next few hours here on Crow, or it could happen tomorrow, say on Saturday, for example. We don't know when it will happen, but we do know that when we see some sort of breakout, if the price gets close to either support or resistance, we are going to see a large move. So we're looking out for where the price is. At the moment, it's nearer the support. So if the price does something like this again, then we'll get ourselves ready to place a short trade if Crow starts doing this. And likewise, if the price does something like this towards the resistance and it looks like it's about to break out, then we'll get ready to place a long here on Crow. And of course, what we want to see is large momentum. And when I say large momentum, we're looking for candles in the upwards direction that look like this, large green candles, or large red candles in the downwards direction. And we're looking for an increase in volume. So we can easily look up the volume with our volume indicator. And what we want to see is this volume down here start to spike as soon as the prices break out of this triangle. And so the price target from a breakout of this triangle here in purple would be this distance between, which is the first test of support and the first test of the resistance here. And we just drag this measuring tool to wherever we could potentially break out. And you'll notice that's a 33% trade. If this triangle really does exist and we do see a breakout, and guys, of course, that's an if because chart patterns are never perfect, but if we do see this, then that is a massive trade. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for what the price does here in Crow, just in case we do see a breakout, because if we do see a breakout, then that is an epic trade here on Crow. 33% to 8.9 cents here on Crow if it does happen to the upside. And if we break to the downside, then in theory, we should get to 4.7 cents here on Crow. And we can measure the deadline for this triangle to occur as well. We can see that the end of the triangle would be roughly at the end of Sunday there. So Sunday 4 o'clock UTC approximately for me. So there's less than 2 days left for this triangle to play out. So very exciting stuff here if you are observing this. And this is the main pattern here that I'm looking at on Crow. And on top of that as well, just talking about the longer term stuff here as well. Just talking about a slightly longer term thing that I'm seeing here on Crow as well. Basically, if we just zoom out, in fact, let's go on the day chart here on Crow. And The zone we're in at the moment is actually very, very interesting because we're basically close to a near all-time bottom here on Crow. I know Crow goes back a little bit further. I think it goes back into since 2018 or 2017, but we don't have that data there. But anyway, since 2020, we know that Cronos has never dropped below around 5.5 cents yet. At this very moment, the price is actually pretty close to this level. And so what's fascinating is if the price were to touch 5.5 cents, historically in the past, we've always seen the prices jet straight back up. So the last time we saw prices come close to this level in this region here, you can see that prices didn't hang there for long. We just shot straight back up over the course of several days to a high there of around 60% from when we hit this 5.5 cents level. So, we know for a fact that the prices do not like to hang in this area. And more recently, again, we saw the same principle here. 5.5 cents was met, and after that, just a day later, we saw a 36% pump from this level. So if we do see prices get to this level, I would expect prices to start heading back up. And this feeds into this idea where if we do break down from this triangle, it's not all that bearish, because what I expect to happen is something like this if we do break down. And it's no hidden fact that Bitcoin at the moment sitting at 16,500 might have a leg down left to go. And at the moment, I do think that leg down will take us around to 12,500 here on Bitcoin. It could be slightly higher at 13 to 14,000, or it could be this 12,500, depending on what pattern this is. If this is a triangle, then 13,500 is the outcome. But if this is some sort of bear flag, then the price target is lower at 12,500. But regardless, you can see my annotations here on Bitcoin. And this is what I do think will happen. I think Bitcoin will head to a bottom down here in December or January 2023 there, and basically it will start to rise slowly throughout 2023, and that is because of that Bitcoin halving event. And if we have a look at 2018, 2019, we saw something similar where we saw this capitulation that we are seeing right now. I just think we're about halfway through this capitulation event, and of course if Bitcoin gets down to 13,000, then I think this feeds into the idea that Crow would probably see something like this, where if we get this triangle here and we go to the downside, then the prices are just going to bottom out around this region. I don't know if 4.7 cents is going to be hit. I do think there is a lot of support between 5 and 5.5 cents on Crow, but what we could see is prices bottom out, probably head slightly below 5.5 cents and just do something like this where we start to come back up once again at some point in the future. And how this feeds into my idea is that if we just extend this resistance out like this, we could definitely be seeing some sort of double bottom pattern. And a double bottom pattern is a pattern where the prices come to touch this bottom, this support here, twice. So we have this first bottom in this region here, and we have a second bottom sometime in the future. I don't know how the price data will play out, but if we get a decisive second bottom and the prices start to head in the upwards direction, then that to me will be the formation of some sort of double bottom pattern that may look like this. And I'd be looking out for a neckline break. So at the moment, again, the price data is a little bit on the short side, but I can speculate that if we do head up to a neckline here, for example, and we do find quite a solid resistance like this one, which has already been tested several times, and we do break out to the upside, this could be enough of a pattern to suggest that Crow will finally find some sort of trend reversal, and we could be going in the upwards direction. And if we do see a price break out of this head and shoulders pattern, then we should see prices continue to head up after this resistance in purple here, and we should see prices head to at least 8 cents and towards this very long-term yellow resistance that we have. And so in essence, if we see something like this, it could indicate that we are going from a bearish trend here, like a long-term bearish trend on Crow, into a more bullish trend longer term. And that's exactly what we saw in the past as well, which is why I'm looking for it, because in this region here we saw a fairly decisive double bottom. So prices were in this bearish trend throughout most of 2020. The start of 2021 came, and we saw a macro macro double bottom here where prices came down to this support once, this green line bounced up, came down twice, and bounced up again and broke through this neckline that we have here. So this lasted several months, and as you notice, prices went from a bearish trend into a bullish one throughout 2021. So this is what I'm looking for here on Crow, some sort of macro double bottom or any other trend reversal pattern. It doesn't have to be a double bottom, but I'll be looking at the longer term on Crow to try and identify any patterns like this, because at the moment we've been in a downwards trend on Crow for 12 months, and at some point there is going to be a trend reversal, and it's likely going to time itself with the Bitcoin bottom. And the Bitcoin bottom, in my opinion, is not far away whatsoever. I do think we're going to get there within the next few months, and from there it should be smooth sailing back upwards towards the Bitcoin halving event. So when that happens, Crow should start doing something similar, and we should start seeing a more bullish trend into 2023 along with the Bitcoin halving anticipation. So that's my views here long term. But as I say, shorter term, I'm looking at this triangle and I'm looking for that 33% trade if we do break up or do break down from it. And of course, I'm looking at our indicators as well and the moving averages. Moving average here is, we've got a shorter 100-hour moving average and a longer 200-hour moving average. This 200 one's been quite respected recently, so that's why I've included it. It's been tested in this region here and it's been tested in this region here as well. And so if Crow can flip that, that could provide a lot of momentum in the upwards direction. So this is why I'm paying attention to them. Of course, this quicker 100-hour moving average has been very well respected on Crow as well. So we can see that it's been tested multiple times in this region. So this is why I'm looking at both moving averages. If we are able to decisively cross above them into the bullish direction, then we could be starting on a new micro bullish trend here on Crow. The MACD and the RSI aren't saying too much. We do have some sort of crossover on the MACD, so that's look good. That does look good. The buyers are in control at the moment according to the MACD, and we're seeing some green bars on the histogram. On the RSI, we're about even Stevens, the value there at 48, just below 50, so slightly bearish, but good to see that we're a lot more even on the RSI on the short term rather than oversold as it was just a day ago. So a lot less bearish according to the RSI and slightly bullish according to the MACD on the short time frame. On the longer time frame, we're about to see some sort of crossover on the MACD, so that's definitely worth noting in the sense that since the FTX fallout, the MACD has been red, and we've seen sellers in control, but slowly but surely the seller momentum is dying out, and we could see some sort of reversal here where buyers start to take over on the longer time frame. So that's something to watch out for. But the RSI at the moment still in bearish territory at 34 there. So RSI is saying sellers are still well in control, but the MACD hinting that we could potentially start seeing buyers take over the price, and a crossover of the MACD and the signal line hinting at a buy signal here on Crow. So some bullish signals there from the MACD. And of course, in terms of divergences, everything does look fairly normal. I don't see any hidden divergences on the MACD or the RSI. So all's is good there. So those are my observations for everything here on Crow. That's pretty much all I have to say in this video. Basically, in summary, I'm looking at this triangle short term with a price target of 8.9 cents if we do break to the upside, or a price target of 4.7 cents if we break to the downside. And longer term, I'm looking for some sort of trend reversal pattern that could take days, it could take weeks, it could even take months to form, but it could tell us that we're going to head into a longer term. But it could hint to us that we're going to be starting to see some sort of trend reversal from this 12-month downtrend that we've been in here on Crow. That's dictated by this yellow resistance that we have here. So if we're able to break through that, then that is extremely bullish. But until then, we're in this bearish trend still, and it's not very pretty longer term. And of course, on top of everything, I'm observing what Bitcoin does as well. And I still think Bitcoin has a leg to go to 13,000, just according to chart patterns that I'm seeing, as well as the macroeconomic outlook. So I'm wary of that, and it does feed into my predictions here on Crow. And of course, if Bitcoin is bearish, then there's going to be a bearish bias here on Crow. So I will definitely bear that in mind. So that's all I'm observing. That's all I have to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you do like this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more like this. But otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.